Well, The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords as the multiplayer add-on to the GBA Link to the Past was fairly successful, so it seemed like the most natural thing to do was to create a sequel for the GameCube, and it was released with Navi trackers which never saw the light of day here in America. The game's art style massively emulates both Wind Waker and A Link to the Past, and there is a reason for that which I will get into later. The last time I played this game was 2007? Dear God, where does the time go? From what I can find about this game's development history, Miyamoto felt the game had too much continuity. This would not be the last time he did this to a game's detriment. Mainly Paper Mario Sticker Star, but that's a story for another time. Miyamoto has always been kinda on games having a story, despite coming up with the idea for it. He famously removed a lot of the story from Mario Galaxy 2 because he thought Galaxy 1 had too much of it, which wasn't entirely a good thing. But that's for a revisit to the Mario games. But with that out of the picture, let's begin the game. So the opening recaps the events of Four Swords as well as a prologue that we will soon see next year. Vati escaped and kidnapped Zelda, but Link sealed him away, and some time has passed since then. But one day, generations later, a new Link and Zelda found that the seal on Vati was weakening. Yeah, dark clouds, never a good sign. The game opens with Link in Hyrule Castle, with the music even taking cues from A Link to the Past. Zelda leads Link to the seal of the Four Sword, but Shadow Link appears and kidnaps the Seven Maidens. Now, wait a minute, where have I seen this before? Yep, it's A Link to the Past all over again. You see, the story goes that even though Ocarina of Time was supposed to be the imprisoning warp backstory, they realized they screwed that up because Ganondorf had the whole Triforce in A Link to the Past, but only one piece in Ocarina of Time. So this game's original intent was to retell the imprisoning warp backstory, but Miyamoto nixed it as I mentioned before. So Link follows the kidnapper to the Four Sword Sanctuary, and there's nothing much you can do to hurt him. You have no choice but to pull the sword out. Which ends up releasing Vati, and that immediately raises questions. If Vati didn't kidnap the maidens, then who did? So the Links wake up and are spoken to by a mysterious voice. Link must find the Force Gems. It's Kapora Gabora. Oh, good to see you again. So this is the mission structure of Four Swords Adventures. You have a level and each part is broken up into 3 sections. Since I'm playing by myself, the Links can take various formations. Diagonal, horizontal, box, and cross. Each one has their uses. The game is meant to be played with multiplayer, but here's the problem with that. You need Game Boy Advance link cables to be able to play this with additional people, and I don't think I have those anymore. Every time you enter a building, the screen switches to Game Boy Advance SP mode. This is something you're supposed to see on your Game Boy, but since I'm playing single player, that's not an option. This game was clearly designed with multiplayer in mind because Zelda has never been a multiplayer experience. It's always been single player. So this game is an interesting experiment, as it were. One thing I always thought was annoying was that the L button was how you chose formation. At first I kept pressing the button once and it would go away. But no, you have to hold down the button and then press your formation. Took some getting used to. The goal of each level is that you have to beat the enemies and collect Force Gems. The bigger the gem, the more it's worth. You need 2,000 Force Gems to power up the Force Sword, and you need to do this in every single level or else you can't finish. That's really annoying. Fortunately, finding Force Gems is not too much of a hassle. They're hidden all over the place. Like in Four Swords, you can find weapons to use. And just like in that game, you can only select one weapon at a time. The Fire Rod is very useful for burning grass and thus getting more Force Gems. What I find interesting about this game's art style is that it's a mesh of Wind Waker and A Link to the Past. Even the castle looks like it did in Wind Waker. By pressing the X button, Link can split up into solo links, and you need to do this sometimes when you have to get on switches that are separated. Oh, and then there's Tangle! I hate this guy so much. He's especially annoying in this game because every time he appears it's usually when there's a large source of Force Gems, and he will always try to take the biggest one. So make sure you grab that one before he does. You also get Force Fairs at the end of every level, and you will need them later in the game to revive Link should he die. What I like about the level design is whenever the Links have to work together to solve a puzzle. Basically, the first level is an overworld, the second level is like a cave or something, and the third is a dungeon. You can get heart containers in this game, but in this one they are only temporary upgrades, meaning every level you have to get them again. Which is a little annoying, but I guess they can't make it too easy. I especially love using one link to throw another link across a gap. That's one way of solving a puzzle. So anyway, the dungeon of the first level is Hyrule Castle, looking on the outside like Wind Waker, but on the inside it looks like a link to the past. See what I mean about the plan of this retelling the imprisoning war still being in the infrastructure of the game? Whenever you get a small key, Link will carry the key. It doesn't become part of his inventory. Hyrule Castle really throws all their soldiers at you, but it's nothing a good formation can't take care of. The main goal of Hyrule Castle is that you're supposed to reunite the one who's been split into two. Not sure how that works, but it is Zelda. Finding both Zoros with a combination of bombs, and you take them to the barrier where they merge into a great fairy. Okay then. She even manages to one-shot all the soldiers. Can I just take you with me, please? Oh, so I have to do it, huh? Thank you very much. The first boss is Phantom Ganon, which means once again playing tennis with the guy. Gotta learn new strategies, man. So we've rescued the Blue Maiden. She tells you information that you already knew, so really pointless exposition. Next level, Village of the Blue Maiden. This village requires you to talk to each of the soldiers in a specific order to figure out where you have to go, and brings back the Dark World as a concept, which is interesting, I suppose. It comes out sporadically throughout the game, but you get the Pegasus boots, and I love the Pegasus boots, but they should be permanent! Same with the Rock Feather, although stealing a 300 gem from Tangle is immensely satisfying. Sometimes you have to defeat Shadow Link, and this is not Dark Link from Zelda 2. It's actually immensely easy since he won't copy your every move. Then he'll turn into a specific colored Link, and that Link is the only one that can damage him. There actually is an explanation for how he keeps coming back. So the villagers are freed from disarray, and it's time for the Eastern Palace. Ah, the same place from A Link to the Past! The Eastern Palace relies on using moon pearls to get around. It's a puzzle, but it puts Link's skills to good use. I like when dungeons do that, when they force you to think outside the box. The dungeon rewards searching every nook and cranny, which is always a good thing. Also, Wizrobes try to suck up your force gems, so take care of them as fast as humanly possible. The boss is Igor, but with rocks. The trick is to get the boomerang to get the little eyes out of the way. Well, another boss down and you rescue the Yellow Maiden. Love how they're all color-coded for convenience. She once again tells you where to go next, which is Death Mountain. Oh, great. Death Mountain. That never sounds good. Level 3 is Death Mountain. The only thing really notable about this level is the house that you have to push on all sides to burn everything. Who designs their house with flamethrowers on top? What I will say, the hammer is a force to be reckoned with. Also, the Quake Medallion is an item that you carry rather than something Link can use with magic, but damn is it satisfying. Going up Death Mountain is particularly painful since it's on fire, and you have to make sure you pick the right path as well as set off the bombs. The boss is the Hellmark King, and I really like this boss as it makes good use of the GameCube and Game Boy screens. When he gets his head stuck in a rock, you go into the cave and whack his head. The Tower of Flames is exactly what you'd expect. It's a fire dungeon. The boss is the Dongos, and they are fought exactly the same as they were in Zelda 1. Nothing has changed. So with that, the Green Maiden has been rescued. She tells Link of the Knights of Hyrule, which is world building meant for the next part. You will need 4 sacred jewels to open the path to Viety. Because the game is still linear, there's no danger of missing them. So the next level, you meet Malon and Talon again. Descendants, I assume. They give you horses to ride. Riding on horseback is actually kind of fun since you can't be hurt. It's just a fun little distraction, nothing more. But it doesn't last very long, unfortunately. Then there's this really annoying part because you have to separate the links and make sure you have the Rock Feather to get across a gap. The fairies can upgrade your items to level 2 and they all have varying effects. So the first of the knights is up. It's fighting a huge Staffo. I don't find these fights too particularly interesting, but I find it awfully convenient that they're all the exact same color as the links. Next, back to Hyrule Castle, and Shadow Link will start throwing big bombs at you. If you get caught, it's an instant KO, but fortunately I have so many Force Fairies that dying isn't a threat. The boss in these fields is a giant Poe. I like this boss because it makes good use of the 4 links. That's what this game should do. Make use of the fact that you control 4 links at a time. Then you have to infiltrate Hyrule Castle, and you must be stealthy or you will get caught and easily break out. Guards in Zelda are so stupid! Fortunately, the searchlight will only catch one Link if he's detected. The inside of Hyrule Castle is again pretty much just like A Link to the Past, but you gotta be stealthy, it's like Metal Gear. The boss is a big Poe again, but you have to infiltrate it on the inside to damage it. It's actually quite an interesting strategy, I find. But it's here I find myself just a little short of the needed Force Gems, so I had to go back in time to the beginning of the dungeon to get the ones I needed. Oh, please don't tell me I have to do the whole thing all over again. Fortunately, that is not the case. Once you have enough Force Gems, you immediately get teleported back to the barrier room. Thank the video game gods. So we rescue the White Maiden. She tells you about the Dark Mirror, which sounds awfully suspicious to another mirror from a soon-to-be-coming game. So we are now halfway done rescuing the maidens. Good. So now you are in a Lost Woods area, and the Duke of Scrubs speak not of Viety, but of Ganon. Ooh, things are interesting now. There is one annoying part because a scrub asks you for 3 very specific things, and it's always random, so you better write down what they say because they will not repeat it. Such an annoying feature. Kakariko Village is on fire this time, so as the good Samaritan you are, you must capture the thieves and make life better for the villagers. It's also here that you get the green orb. I wish the knights had better variety when it came time to their boss fights. The Dark Palace is probably the most annoying dungeon in the game, mostly because of this part where you have to push this room over the spikes. And if you screw up, well, you gotta re-enter the room and reset to do it all over again. The boss is Phantom Ganon, and he's much tougher than before because he splits into 4 pieces, so you have to play tennis while dodging the fake one's blasts. Not an easy task. But eventually I wore him down and found that the Dark Mirror has been stolen. Some plot advancement in this level. So Link rescues the Red Maiden. The Dark Mirror has been stolen, but apparently it's not Viety that's doing this. Does Viety even have a role in this story aside from being a red herring? They mention Ganondorf, a man of the Gerudo tribe. Oh boy, this is where things get complicated. So the next level is the Desert of Doubt, where you learn that Ganondorf has gone to the pyramid. This guy is not the same Ganondorf from previous titles. This Ganondorf is a reincarnation of the one that dies in Twilight Princess. We were so close to having only one Ganon throughout the whole timeline, but this game has to screw it up. Not to mention it makes the Gerudos look really stupid. Why would you name him Ganondorf? You know the bad feelings that name brings, right? You morons! You absolute moronic buffoons! The desert is a maze. You have to memorize the way, and it is so tedious. But it is here that you get the red jewel. Another Stalfo, how wonderful. At least there's only one more of these guys. So the pyramid dungeon, it's filled with holes, and you have to make good use of every item you get and upgrade them. Otherwise you won't get past the puzzles. I find it to be very clever though. The upgraded Pegasus boots let Link defy gravity. That's amazing. The boss battle is the Big Moldron, bringing back memories from A Link to the Past. Only a specific Link can damage his core. It's just like A Link to the Past, only even more tedious. So with that down, you find the Trident of Power is missing. Yeah, with this game's plot being a leftover of the imprisoning lore, this is meant to explain how Ganon got his trident. So you rescue the Purple Maiden, and all the maidens together locate Princess Zelda. So the next level is Frozen Hyrule, aptly named because everything is frozen. But it's actually a fun level to explore and get Force Gems. But finally, one more night. This one has keys around it, but it's still the same standard boss battle. How typical. So after going through that, it's time to enter the Ice Temple, so aptly named. Really annoying ice physics throughout this level. There's this really annoying part where you have to bomb all the holes on the ground. It culminates in another fight with Shadow Link. The only thing that makes it annoying is the ice physics. So you're finally back at the Forge Sanctuary with all the gems and all the maidens. Finally, the plot can go somewhere. So the temple takes on a 2D view. It's actually really fun and unique, a nice change of pace. So then comes the boss, Froststare. This boss is about using the rock feather to jump around and damage him when he falls from the room. I love the rock feather in this game because Link jumps so high. So with him down, you finally rescue Princess Zelda. Yeah, just like A Link to the Past, Zelda is saved for last. She tells Link that he must go to the realm of the heavens to find the source of darkness that is corrupting the land. So off we go. The realm of the heavens is a puzzle. A long and tedious puzzle. With having to use multiple items, enemies, moving platforms, it's all here. Shadow Link throwing another bomb at you will instantly KO you. Yeah, this level has it all. But the culmination is finally finding Shadow Link and what keeps causing him to respawn. Fortunately, Zelda decides to take action and seals it off so Shadow Link can no longer regenerate. Once you finally beat it, Shadow Link is no more. Huzzah! But Zelda tells us we still have one more thing to do, and that's confront the source of the darkness. Time to go to work. This final dungeon pulls out everything at you, every kind of puzzle you've had to do. It all culminates here, and that's what the final area should do, be a culmination of everything you've learned. But in no time, once all the defenses are down, you reach Viety. What's annoying about Viety is specifically timing the bombs so that they explode when he sucks them up. When he stops doing that, you have to launch yourself into the air and bring down on him with a downward strike. It's so satisfying. So with that, Viety is no more. He still feels kind of pointless in this game. So the Links meet up with Zelda, but joy is short-lived. Everything is collapsing. Ain't that always the way? But inside, something interesting happens. This segment brings back memories of Ocarina of Time, particularly when Link and Zelda were trying to escape Ganon's tower. Maybe that was intentional? Zelda has one heart, it must be protected. How annoying. Not only that, but she keeps stopping to talk to you and she won't go any further. It's like, come on! Let's move! So we finally reach the end. The Links and Zelda are sucked into the basement where they find... Yep, Ganon is back and it's time for the true final battle to begin. Brings back memories of A Link to the Past, which has him waving around his trident. The only thing you can do is slash him with your sword while he teleports around the room. Reminds me of the Zelda cartoon. That's the only thing you can do until he's weakened enough that Zelda is set free. Now the goal is simple. You must protect Zelda from Ganon while she charges up. So form a barrier in front of her. Better you take the hit than her, deflect the shots back at him until the ball is ready and it's time to deliver the final blow. The ancient demon reborn is finally defeated as the maidens surround Ganon and Link fuses back into one Link. With that, the four swords is returned to the pedestal and all is restored. So all's well that ends well. I wish I could show the multiplayer for this game, but it requires the Game Boy Advance link cable. The Four Swords Adventures, if I were to rank it among the Zeldas, I'd probably rank it mid-tier. That's a good video to do when I'm all caught up with Zelda. Rank all the Zeldas from least favorite to favorite. It's certainly been a fun time, but one I recommend with friends and not by yourself. Well, next time I do Zelda, it'll be the Minish Cap, this game's prequel. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please hit that bell, like, and subscribe button. If you want to keep up to date on videos, follow me on Twitter or join my Discord. See you next time.